to place. So we found chargers that were completely like disgusting, not well taken care of. So you get there, they don't work. Um, or, we have a particular type of charger because there's no universal charger
Nope.
right now. No one agrees on a universal charger. There's 3 or 4 types. You get there, they'll tell you your type is there, your type is not there. So you gotta drive around looking for a place to charge your vehicle. It's just that they don't tell you these things when you get the
Yeah.
vehicle. Because if you had this expectation prior, you probably wouldn't be so stressed out. We were pretty stressed the hell out because of that
I mean, yeah,
experience.
that's understandable. The one thing about the whole electric vehicle thing that I kind of always thought too was that, so since everybody was making them, but it was like Tesla was the one that was doing the big push and building all the charging station, but specifically for their own type of vehicle. That I'm like, is there anybody on the market
Yeah.
that made a charger adapter in case you were in a location where, yeah, the company, whether it's Ford or Chrysler or whoever makes this vehicle, has this specific charger, but then knowing that they didn't expand their charger network and they were kind of relying on Tesla anyway. And Tesla, remember, we talked about this a while back when Tesla was going through the process of shutting down a lot of their chargers because for whatever reason, I was like, yeah, what happens if you are stuck somewhere and yeah, you're being told, oh yeah, you have the capability to charge your vehicle here. You show up there and like you said, a gas station is a gas station is a gas station. It's been around for so long. Everything is
Yeah.
traditional with it. There's really, I mean, outside of between gasoline and diesel, those are really the only two choices you're going to get. But there's a difference between those two nozzles. But if it's electric vehicle, each vehicle have its own nozzle. That's just what. I understand the panic and the fear that can come with that, especially if you're far away from home and you're like, what do I do? Because then even with that, even if it's not like you can have somebody come get you, bring a gas can, go get some gas, put it in your car, and then
Yeah.
drive it back home or to the nearest charger. With that, it's like, what really do you do? Is what
Well, you can call AAA, and AAA does have the ability to
okay.
charge your vehicles. They actually have a gas
Oh,
charger.
okay. Like a generator, basically. A portable generator, they'll hook it up.
It's
Okay.
like a generator. You put the gas in and it generates the energy for you. Um, one of the other problems is that when she bought the vehicle, the dealership just assumed that she knew everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I asked her, "What kind of charger do you have?" She didn't
Yeah, that's
know. She's like, "Oh, this is. I guess it's a Tesla one." And I'm like, "What do you guess is a Tesla one?"
look.
So I opened it up, man. Yeah, it was just like she was pretty
That's
upset
understandable.
because even the dealership didn't even walk her through. Like, okay, there's 2 types of charging. There's slow charging. There's
Mm-hmm.
fast charging. Your charger looks like this. This is where the areas where your charger is most likely going to be. But also that because there's no regulations out there, the upkeep of these facilities are hit or miss from
Yeah,
spot to
I
spot.
would understand that. Hey, but then that can present an opportunity to start mapping or take the time to make like a database of which ones are good. The same way they do gas stations when you're traveling across country, saying these gas stations are good. They have bathrooms, they have Wi-Fi, they have places to eat there. I mean, it could be the same thing, especially if it's a very specific charger. My question is, was it bought from the actual maker's dealership or was it bought like off of?
Yeah, no, it was bought from the
Oh,
dealership. Like it was bought from the yeah, it was from the people who
oh
built the
wow, and they did
vehicle, who
not do a
got it from
walkthrough.
Nissan. It's
Oh,
Nissan,
that's
yeah.
interesting because at
So
least I know, and because I've seen people buy Teslas between like I'm watching YouTube videos where when you go buy your Tesla, they tell you every single thing about this is
that's what you would think happened. That's what was my
yeah, I understand.
expectation.
So
Right? I didn't go there with her because she wanted to do it herself. So I said, that's fine, whatever. But then, like afterwards, I was
well,
pissed.
lesson learned, lesson learned. And also, I would have been like, "Where's the owner's manual?" But that's how I think. I want to read something to see like exactly look what my
Yeah, no,
problem is. This. How
absolutely.
do I stop?
I mean, we pulled the owner's manual, but I mean, the biggest problem is like certain information you're expected to be at the tip of your lips because it's something they should have just
Yeah,
told you
I get it.
about,
I dig it.
right? The expectation is that they already had this understanding.
Facts, facts, facts. All right. Well,
Which brings me to our first, the first part of our show will always be a meme that made me
okay.
think. So this part of the show is the memes that made me think. Let's get to it. All right, so this popped up on my YouTube, and I just kind of wanted to look in and get an idea of like what's the temperature of YouTube right now, right? With all that's going on in the world and all the bullshit that Americans bought on themselves, I just wanted to catch what their feelings were. And so these are some of the things that people expected life to be like. Because they looked at this world here, they grew up looking at these books as kids and seeing how community was supposed to be, how people were supposed to help each other and live in some state of like equality and respect for one another. And then they grew up and saw that the world looks like this.
What is this exactly?
The shit that we live in. So this first person said, instead of slaving away 24/7, I imagined everyone just worked part-time, getting to go and speak to people back when people actually talked to each other, even if just causality, then do it all over again. So this person had the idea that, you know, people would actually communicate with each other. They would work 2 or 3 days out of the week, and then they would talk to their neighbors and go and live their life, which I think most people should be able to have the opportunity to do, right? We should be living our lives out there instead of slaving it away in these cubicles.
Well, this is, you know what's funny about this? My dad literally sent me a thing on Facebook today, and it was how different generations go to work. I wish I could send this to you somehow, some way, but it's on Facebook, so I don't know how to do it. But it basically shows the older generation get up, go to work, grab their coffee, their lunchbox, and head off to work. No issues, no complaints. Then it goes to Gen X. Gen X is more fly that we know we got to work. We went in, we did the job and everything. Then it shows the millennials. The millennial is dragging themselves out the house, keeps going, they want to go. Then they go into Gen X, and Gen X is chilling on the couch with a laptop, a cell phone, laughing with the TV on in the background. So that was a funny video, and I said, yeah, that's kind of how it is. I mean, but there are pockets of pockets within those generations just that accept work for what it is, but then understanding that there is more to life. But it matters how you perceive it. I mean, I know in my world, I understood you had to work. You cannot live and be functional and take care of yourself if you didn't work. But then again, I know people around me that work is like, what? No, I just want to go and enjoy life, which I don't complain about because I fully get it. But there has to be a balance because you can't depend on everybody else to make sure you can maintain shelter, food, and clothing. So it gets into that weird area. But I do understand if people read these books as a kid and they thought, hey, when I get up and go out into the world, I should be able to get, you know, what they call it, a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. But then that everything around it has become so skewed and imbalanced right now, which that part is really, really true. I mean, somebody working right now, you have to work so much harder just to enjoy just the little bit of life that you can. And when I say life, that means doing anything you want to do.
Well, I also think that a lot of these individuals are understanding that they were supposed to be working less already. Like productivity went to 1,000% when it should probably already been like to 500%. And what I mean by that is, once we were capable of working 2 or 3 days and doing a whole week's worth of work, that's where we were supposed to be at. We were supposed to stop there. You were only supposed to be at work 2 or 3 days a week. This obsession with growth at the cost of your living experience has compromised people's willingness to do this type of work anymore because they want to live their lives. They're realizing that being at work all the time is none of it's worth it.
That's true. Strange says, what's work? So look, this will be a good one real quick. What understanding that you say that even the way we should be now, we should be working 3 days a week in your opinion? Because our efficiency went so high, right?
Yeah. All right, look, if we got enough money to make billionaires and trillionaires, the average person shouldn't be working that hard.
Okay.
And therein lies my biggest problem. Like, Americans, listen to me. Your enemies are billionaires and trillionaires. Those are your enemies. They're the ones who stole your wealth. Don't get mad at an immigrant or a black person or a woman. You sold out to Elon and Trump and billionaires. They are your enemies.
Let me remind, even though this is a Tuesday, this is not heavy on the politics.
This is no, but I mean, I'm just being real. You know, we gotta be when we talk about it, we gotta be honest about it, right? So if we got enough money for billionaires and trillionaires, the average person should not be working that hard.
What I think,
They should go to work once or twice a week.
and this is my thing, and this is just my opinion. With the efficiency of everything that we have, computers, technology, and everything, yes, I think the amount that a human body should have to work should have been decreased. With that being said, the teachings of everything that would be of technology should have been increased, and some of the things that the computers or robots or AI can get ready to do, particularly within agriculture, should have been shifted off a little bit. And then on top of that, with the amount of time you save with the person actually having to physically do something, physically be somewhere, that should be given back to them. That's that work-life balance, and it should go more to the balance of life and less into the balance of work. But the problem is, and me and you agree, that with capitalism, that they want to get bigger, better, and more money. But then that also leads to them saying, hey, instead of charging you, and I'm going to use eggs for an example, charging you for a carton of eggs $1 now, because we can kind of produce them a little bit more. We can kind of cut out these people, but we still need people to go out there and inspect the eggs and all this stuff. We're just going to charge you $5 now just because we can. And that's the unfair part. All that extra equity that would have been built up with technology should have been given back to the people, and that should have not caused anything increases in prices and stuff. But sadly, where we live at is people want more money than they can actually handle, compared to, even if you get all this money, you're not sharing it amongst the people that may or may not need it. That's the problem overall. But we're not going to beat this one down too much unless you got a retort. And I think what Strange said something.
Said something about mayonnaise. I mean, I don't have answers for why we're not getting robbed like we're getting robbed, but I mean, I think you killed it. But I want to just hit a couple more of the comments from the comment section under this exercise, this meme. She said, I thought I would get a job at wherever you go get jobs, and they'd hand it out so easily that I can experiment with what job I'd want to do, I'd be okay with doing, rather than apparently needing to figure it out by the end of the high school. He's right though. People when you look back in the past, people did different types of jobs to figure out what they wanted to do with their life. They didn't have to have it all figured out before they walked out of high school. Like our kids now, you better want to know you want to be a doctor in 10th grade. If you want to achieve that, because it is so much more difficult today. You don't get to do over. You don't get to just walk away and have another
that
opportunity.
Is true. I would want to know how old this person is, and only because I would say going through high school, between having a scholastics curriculum and a vocational curriculum, I think that was the part where they began to divide people, which could be wrong, but it also gave somebody kind of an idea that, hey, if you want to do that vocational blue collar, you're a plumber, you're a, something within those type of blue collar job fields, then you are going to be there. If you want to be a mechanic and things like that. But then if you wanted to go to those higher levels, the scholastic degrees and stuff, then they put you on the pathway to where you were doing a lot of academic work, which is not doing the hands-on work.
I see the biggest problem is that right there, though.
Well, it's right or wrong.
See, that's the problem.
I'm starting with that because in my high school, that's how it was. And
Oh, no, I don't disagree with you. I think what this individual is saying is, he's like, I believed that I would have the opportunity to try out different types of jobs. I don't want to be put on a path and be told, oh, you could do this, or this, because no one wants to be placed
Well,
on the path.
hold on.
They want that
This is my
freedom
question though.
to go and experience different types
But
of
this
jobs.
is my question. I want to know how old this person is because the word that they're describing did not exist to me. It was kind of what I kind of understood. You either go this way or this way.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
Where did
well,
they get this idea from?
I
That's
don't.
what would be my question.
It's not even about the idea of it. It should be something that should be available. That's just the thing of. It's not that someone told you that. It's
I
not
would kind
that.
of disagree with this one. Though.
It's about the ability to be
Yes.
human. I think that we've gotten so far away from what it is to be
But
human.
the issue that I would have with this statement, only because I know it wasn't the world I grew up in, it would be that.
It's not about the world
But
you
it
grew
is,
up
because
in.
what
It's not
world
about
that
the
they
world
grew up
that
in did they
exists.
thought this? Because I never thought this.
It's not. Yeah, no. What you should be asking is why did you feel so subjugated to that your experience being one that should be normal?
Because that was the world that I was being prepared and tutored to go into.
What I'm saying is we should be asking why we are okay with that world to even exist.
No, because if I'm fair and honest, I'm not okay with that world. Like the world that this person described.
And so
makes
that's
sense
what
to me.
I think. That's when we start. That's what we need to
No,
do.
but that's what I'm saying. The word that they describe, it makes sense to me. The word that they describe right here is something that I would hear a younger person say to me, which I can't argue with them because, yeah, there's so many opportunities to do now. The problem that I do understand, and this is what I think sometimes they don't understand, is that when you're going around doing your experiment, as they say here, with different things, sometimes you're going to fail. The problem with your failure is that you have to have people around you that's still going to hold you up. But those people around you, they are still trying to survive on their own too. And if everybody doesn't have the same idea, like the concept of money per se, then nobody's going to agree that, hey, you're the only one that's trying to do all this experimental shit. You need to come back to the flock and do what the rest of us are doing. So I understand what they're saying. I never lived this world, but I understand that there's people around me that understand and why can't I experiment with this and try this? Why can't? Because sometimes when you experiment this and you don't succeed or you fail at it or it's not what you really want to do, there's that weird time between your transitioning to that next thing. How are you going to maintain yourself? That means you're going to have to depend on the kindness and care of others. But if the kindness and care of others depends on they're trying to still maintain their self because they just said, you know what, this is too risky. I'm not going to experiment. I'm going to do what I know I need to do. That's that weird juggling balance of humanity, survival, and enjoying life.
I honestly believe that what these individuals want is a fair shake at the opportunities to fail or be successful at multiple different concepts and ideas of life. For instance, like you got these individuals like Elon Musk and Trump who failed a billion times on bullshit, and they didn't have what they had was access to excessive amount of money.
So,
and the playing field has to be a lot more level. And I think the fact is that Americans need to understand that their enemies are these CEOs and these other parties. It is not some regular ass poor person. They are not why you aren't getting the things that you need. No, the reason you don't have it is because we made it. Someone stole it. Johnson & Johnson stole it. Walmart stole it. These billionaires stole all our productivity and stuck it somewhere so they could buy a yacht. That is who the enemy is.
all right, cool.
All right, so then we'll jump forward to talking about Apple here. You know, one of the biggest problems with our technology today, Kennedy, is it's boring.
It's boring.
It's actually pretty boring. I remember when iPhones just first came out. Whenever the iPhone came out, it was pushing the technology forward. It's just how far you could get before this phone was just crash on you constantly.
Okay.
Right? You could take videos and capture any kind of type of photos. You can find maps. You can now use these devices to engage with the world in a way that you didn't before. They just released the iPhone SE, which is supposed to be the cheapest, most simplest iPhone. But it costs $600. So it's not cheap. and the technology in it is terrible.
Okay.
I mean it's pretty damn bad. I can't believe that Apple has released this to their customers. It's kind of embarrassing. For the first time ever, I would say if you are a person you're looking for a cheap phone, don't buy the iPhone version because the iPhone version is really a step back in camera. I mean, it's got a good battery. I guess it's got access to a new chip, so you have access to Apple Intelligence. But those are not reasons to go backwards in phone technology.
I guess my counterpoint would be I always find it interesting that the people that love Apple, they will say, "Oh, new Apple iPhone is out. It'll be crazy expensive," and then they will go back buy it, and then in turn say that the technology has not advanced enough. This may be a good business move per se because if people want to just get into an Apple product, even with somebody with the highest end phone, might say that yeah, this doesn't have all the bells and whistles, or it's not even pushing technology. But then we're like, well, we kind of topped out. So if we can't go no more higher at this moment in time, because we're kind of stuck a little bit until we start just advancing our chips and stuff and really get our AI off the ground and fully functional. Where the S word, I don't want to say it out loud. I don't know what's going to trigger, but the S word is actually like a real companion into helping you do stuff and take care of things, especially like I know the things you talk about. Maybe we can go.
Let me ask you this, Kenny. Would you pay $5.99 for good enough technology?
Me personally, yes, if it does what I need it to do. That's me personally.
So you think that's a fair price? Good enough?
Or
Because that's what this phone is. I mean, I love iPhones. I have the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I'm going to upgrade to the very next iPhone 17 most likely.
okay, but
With that being
for
said,
me,
though, would you pay $5.99 today for good enough?
good enough is good enough.
Right? You're right. Because the technology in this phone is good enough. But I don't think it's worth $5.99. If you can get better technology at $150 with an Android phone, why wouldn't you just buy that phone that has
But so
great technology and a better
what
price?
is the technology that you're saying that you think the 17 is going to have that is so depressed
No,
with
no,
this
no,
one?
no.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
Stop. We're talking about the iPhone SE just came out. The iPhone SE's got a second. It has like 2-year-old camera technology. 2-year-old. It's not ProMotion, not 90 hertz, not even 120 hertz. It's 60 frames, 60 hertz screen, right? I don't think it's OLED. It's not an OLED screen. So why would you pay $5.99 for that? Because you can get an Android phone with an OLED screen, 120 hertz, a 48 megapixel camera. It will come with 3 or 4 cameras. This phone only has one camera. And you can get that for 150 bucks.
Well, from my perspective, this is just because it's Apple. That's what anything with Apple I always overlook.
So you think it's because it's Apple?
Say what?
So just because it's Apple.
I mean, that would be my opinion. Me personally, because I know, I'm not an Apple fanboy or anything, but I would prefer to have the Samsung product, the Android product that would have all that for a cheaper price compared to, like you say, this product that just barely. However, if it was me and I had to buy a Apple phone, I'm probably going to buy this one just because it's newer, even with the understanding that, hey, if it's just good enough, then it's just good enough to do what I needed to do. Comparison to the future concept that the iPhone 17 maybe it will jump somewhere fast forward in technology. But then my also issue that I find a lot of times is people will have the phones and they don't even use it to their full capabilities. So I'm also like, you're just buying it because it's Apple then. Because why else would you want to drop that extra?
Well, I think that's true with every phone, right? Every phone, we're not actually pushing it to its highest level of technology. I mean, I know I don't use my phone to its full capabilities, and I don't know anybody who truly uses their phone with everything it can really do, I doubt anybody's pushing those phones to its true, true
Okay.
capabilities.
I mean, that could be true. I know with my phone, I have my phone pretty much is my off brain basically. I can control lights around the house. I can, watch movies, control the TV. It has my but it is not strictly just the phone itself. It is with comparison to other apps and applications that run everything around it. That
Yeah.
makes sense to me. But the ecosystem that Apple would say, yeah, everything is smoothly integrated. So that's why I'm like, Apple can charge this for this mundane phone, if you want to call it a mundane phone, because it also is part of the ecosystem that, hey, if you got this phone, you relatively got a new phone. It may not have the future technology, but it is fully integrated with everything from your watch to your Apple Play to whatever.
Hey, let me piggyback on that part right there when you talked about, that they call it the
Mm-hmm.
walled garden of Apple.
Mm-hmm. The wall garden of Apple. Yep.
I never appreciated that walled garden more than a couple days ago with my girl. So another thing that happened to her, another thing they don't really tell you about these charging stations is because there's so many of them, they all have their own apps and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of them ask you to download their application to engage with that device that's in
Okay.
front of you. Here's a problem. So now you have all these different apps for all these different companies on your phone. And now you don't know if you can trust these apps, right? So my girl was standing in front of this charging station and it had this logo. And because she has an Android phone, she went to the website and the website said, oh, it looked like the logo. She clicked on it and she just downloaded it right from the website. Something that you cannot do on an iPhone. If I go to the website and it wants me to download an app, if that app has not been
Vetted.
inspected by Apple, you cannot put it on your phone. She downloaded that app, bro. As soon as she downloaded that app, it tried to steal some of her data
Okay. Interesting.
because it was a fake website. And because Android is an open source
Yeah.
device, she got put in this situation. And so I think if you ask me, do I believe this type of environment that Apple's created is worth $599? I'd
Okay.
say yes.
So you're swayed a little bit
For
then.
the security and the ability that I can have just, it's not 100% secure, but you can be pretty damn careless with an iPhone in a way you cannot be with an
That's true.
Android device.
That is true. I will give you that. And no, I'm not saying that the walled garden is a bad place to be. It's just you have a trade off. You are there in this beautiful place, but you really can't leave. Or you can leave, but leaving is going to be difficult. Or you could be out in freedom, but then with freedom comes sometimes predators and evilness and all those other things. So it's a trade off. You can either live in the Garden of Eden or you can eat the apple. Y'all think about this. This is a prime example. You can live in the Garden of Eden or bite the apple and go out into the world. There you go.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's really true. You can stay in Eden, or you can bite that apple and go over to Android, and you're gonna have a lot more freedom, and you might have a lot more fun.
I mean, it's a trade-off.
But you have to be a lot more careful.
Yeah. And I think what it is too, because I will give this to Apple at 100%, especially with these two old products that I have that we do the show and everything with. The efficiency of if you are in the ecosystem and me communicating information to you is extremely simple. What's on the iPad, what's on the MacBook. I mean, except for the fact that my stuff is old, but the transition of building the show, putting all the stuff together, that is extremely smooth. For the most part, outside of for the most part, outside of me just learning how Apple products work, the intuitiveness is just me having to relearn something. But once I learned it, it's not crazy or anything. So I mean, and that's kind of the trade-off. I'm like, oh yeah. Now me being more of a person that like I like technology and I want to understand how it works more than just I want it easy. is that Android doesn't bother me as bad because like I can look at something and say, let me do a quick review. Oh yeah, this been downloaded a million times. This is probably a good app compared to this one only got like 45 people on it. I probably don't want that one. So, and that's the balance.
Yeah, that was another thing that my girl was talking about too, because she has to like really interrogate the reviews of an application before she puts it
Yes,
onto her
got it.
phone, just because there's such a risk of something downloading to your phone that could be a problem. And I was just like, I don't even. Only reason I would look at reviews is see if people actually like the app. Not that whether or not this app is a danger to my phone. It's just whether or not like it actually works.
Yeah. So the big difference is that this has come around with a lot of stuff too. Is remember we had talked about it before, where for an app to be on the app store, they do have to get vetted, and in addition, they got to pay, especially if it costs something. They have to pay Apple for that. The difference with the Google Play Store is that anybody can create an app and post it on there. The catch with that is if you're downloading something from the Google Play Store, you want to see that Google Play, their panel has basically verified this. But it's not the same as vetting it before it even makes it there, because anybody can put something on there. But every once in a while, the Google Play Store will go back and they'll look at something like, oh yeah, we verified this. So I have a little stamp of Google Play verification. But that does not mean that somebody can't come back and then change the app itself and then not have to resubmit it. Because once you get that verification, basically you're just there on the Google Store, you're good to go. Everybody assumes it's good, and most likely it is good. But they can always go back and change something. With the App Store, remember, they have to even pay to get it through. But then there's the big issue that, remember Apple was fighting somebody about the cost for charging things when you use the like Apple Pay and things like that, because Apple charges people to do that. So, I mean, but that's also, you can say, the capitalism part, but we're not trying to beat that down. But yeah.
No,
So it's that
right.
weird juggling balance. That safety and security and that confidence comes at somewhat of a cost. And the best thing that Apple does is make it seem like everything's so smooth over here, you don't even think about the cost of it.
I think the best thing you just said right there was that confidence comes at a cost.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these other corporations and entities that deal with Apple needs to consider the value of that confidence. Because when I look at Apple doing something with a company, I'm confident that I can trust that entity.
Okay, that would be understandable.
So, for instance, whenever someone's doing like a new camera app is being, elevated by Apple, or they're working in tangent with Apple to make it work better on the phone, I never even look at people's reviews of that app. I just download it because I have the confidence that when Apple says, hey, we're going to do this together and we're going to make this work together, that when I put it on my phone, I'm confident that it's not going to break something. And I've never had a bad experience.
And that's the wonderful garden that you sit in. So I mean, I can't. There's nothing for me to really complain about. It's just that my issue with Apple, and this is what we've always talked about, is that they make you do things, but they don't give. This is a prime example too. Remember how I always say, yeah, I can't get the keynote thing on my thing because my MacBook, because it's old. And they're like, no, you need to get this. You need to upgrade your MacBook. You need to upgrade your MacBook. What if I don't want to because it does everything else except for this one little thing? All right, you know what? Sideline. I'm going to get an iPad. iPad, and I got an older one too. It was working and working. Then when you want to do the face filter thing, it's like, oh, you can't do that. You need to get a new iPad. You need to get an iPad. So they always trying to nudge you along. But even with this camera.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
You're saying, hey, yeah, this is a new phone, but it's just because it's new, so you allow it, when technically you can allow everything on anything, but once something hits a date, to resell me a new product, you want me to say, hey.
But do you think that's actually because I would say that our devices are two things at once. We don't take advantage of everything they can do, but they're made to be so efficient that the technology in this phone is pushing this phone that in maybe 4 years, it will never be able to compete with the efficiency of the other phones. And so if I do an update, let's say I create software, this phone actually will not be able to function so well because it's already at that threshold of efficiency. I've made this phone cheap enough for you to get, so I've compromised in certain technology so it could be, and I've really leaned on efficiency, and that's what Apple does because Apple leans on efficiency. So they don't over engineer. Well, let's say it is over engineered for efficiency, but it's not over engineered. Like you're not going to get 16 gigabytes
Knowing that
of RAM in most of your phones. It's just not. I mean, I would love it, but you're not going to get it. And so when this phone is old, that 8 gigabytes of RAM really is doing a lot of work 3 or 4 years down the line.
look, my phone is a Samsung S9 Plus. I bought it in 2019. I still have it. It still does everything I needed to do. The only big difference is
you're right.
It's on 4G. It's not on 5G. But there's no overall significant difference in the speed of which I need to do things, whether I'm using my GPS driving, streaming music, or whatnot. So, but I understand that. What's going on? But I understand that people want the newest, best, fastest, most creative things. And sometimes the breaking point will be the cost of entry. And this is just Apple doing a very smart move. If everybody keeps complaining every time we drop a new iPhone that we haven't pushed the technology, maybe we hit a little top for right now. Let's go down and scoop some more dirt from the bottom. And we can at least get some, because I also think that this will probably bring new people over to iPhones. Because, oh, I finally want an iPhone. This is a new one. Some people can't say it's old. It's only this amount. They basically cultivated the dirt, get some new little seeds in there. Now they're growing new little apple trees and everything for people to get in.
Huh. You know, I never think about it, but for a lot of people, a lot of kids, this will be their first iPhone. And this is good enough for any kid.
It's a smart marketing move. There's nothing about this, because when you started with like bashing, I'm like, I see why, but this will be a good move. Because especially, think about this too. We covered it when Google and everybody had made the thing to where their things will no longer pop up green on iPhones. Apple went right back and changed it again. They do it on purpose, and that's the only thing that's always funny. So if somebody says, yeah, my friend groups makes fun of me because I'm on the green and blah, 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 especially if they're young, because having Apple and all those, things, it means a lot more to the younger generation than it does like people my age, that this will be that new little Apple person that's getting introduced to the garden at a reasonable price.
You're absolutely right.
I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying.
I didn't even think about that. I was bashing it.
You said just good enough.
But, and you also you might get last year's camera, and you don't have an analog button on the phone anymore, so it's no longer touch screen. I mean, it's no longer touch unlock, so it's face unlock. But you know what you do get? You get this year's Apple Intelligence.
And that would be a selling point.
And that might be the most important reason to get in on that, because the old phones didn't have that ability at all. You weren't in Apple Intelligence. So it also shows us what Apple's saying is important. Yeah. Apple's saying that Apple Intelligence is our Apple Intelligence is going to be more important than the camera. It's going to be more important than the touchscreen analog, the login. Our intelligence is going to be the most important part of being a part of Apple.
Yeah, I mean that will be the jump that when, like you said, the 17 comes out, it will be, like I said, talking to the S word in the Apple universe. But the S word now is a more functional assistant and can really do better things for you, where you may not even have to put your hands on the actual phone overall.
I think you might be right, man.
It'll be as simple as...
Because why would you create this phone and put such an emphasis on the Apple Intelligence? Because that's really where the emphasis is on this phone.
Because think about it.
This entry phone is an entry level introduction to Apple
Yeah,
Intelligence.
and think about this, because remember I made that joke at one time. I said pretty much your phone is not going to be a phone. It's going to be your Apple Watch with your earpods and maybe like some type of new Apple Vision wear, because then you can visually see a screen that will be on your phone. If you need to fuck tact, tactically do something, you could do that. But then if the Apple Intelligence is that advanced, it would be like you're asking somebody to do something, and Apple Intelligence is like, oh yeah, cool, I got that. Want me to call here, boom, they just calling for you. It's in your ear. It ain't scrolling through your contacts or nothing like that. And it's better than just say, hey, S word, call this person. And this is just going to be a onboard computer that just can do probably just a little bit more before Apple Intelligence really get fully functional.
You know what's funny too? Because they're coming out with supposedly with the next iPhone, since we might as well just jump to that, the iPhone 17. There is a rumor of an iPhone Air, like a really light, skinny iPhone. And you know what that would go with? An emphasis on Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, because you don't have to have so much stuff on board.
There's less stuff in this phone. This phone is less capable, but it's really driven through Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, because wouldn't we read something where Apple Intelligence basically is going to be the big servers, not the phone doing as much anymore, or was it backwards? I remember we read something one time.
It was these servers. Well, the phone was going to be this encrypted place
for like your personal data
that communicated between you and the servers. And so this thing was just like a encryption box.
So that would make sense. Like if they're coming out, if the rumor has it that they're going to come out with like a Apple Air phone, that phone is just going to be your encryption of your personal data, while yet everything that the Apple Intelligence is doing is going to be on the server. So your phone processor is not even that more important no more. Your phone is just a storage brick of your encrypted data that just says when the server needs something, particularly to you, it'll probably just get that. But then you got your earbuds and your Apple Watch, you're good to go. Less bulky things to carry around. You're going to stop. I think it's going to get to the point where people are going to stop pulling out their phones, looking at their phones. If anything, it's just going to be information pumped into your ear. Maybe if you need a screen to see something real quick, it's going to be on your Apple Watch. And just maybe if you need a bigger screen, you probably pull out your phone, but your phone is going to be your secure data server that connects to the Apple Intelligence server. That would be my idea and my thoughts about it. And I've been saying this.
I mean, that's a very cool world that you live in there. I would look forward to being a part of that, honestly.
All right.
That was actually pretty good. Moving forward here. We're going to skip over the rest of the iPhone stuff. We're going to click. Oh, well, this wasn't going to say watch over the weekends. What should you watch over the weekend? Apple cider vinegar. Did you get a chance to watch this?
I did not get a chance to watch it. I can put it on the thing. Well, our next show is going to be on Friday, so we'll probably add it. If I want to discuss, I'll add it on to next Friday after this. But right, I got a sense of what's going on with this, which, if we just touch on it real quick, this is a very much a big home remedy wife's tale thing that really does exist. I know I'm from the South, so it's a thing that's always been talked about. People want apple cider gummies and all those things. So I'm going to watch it, and I'll come back with more ideas on what my thoughts are about it. And I'm assuming you already watched it, right?
Yeah, I have. I think you'll be surprised by it.
I'll add it to my list, and we'll do it not this Governor Friday, but the Friday after next.
All right. And now off to our next subject here. So we got this crypto trader shot himself. So Kenny, what is going on here?
All right, where are my notes at? All right, so this story came people can make their own meme coins. And on top of making your own meme coin, there are people that invest in cryptocurrency and meme coins. So they'll go to these sites, they'll see a coin, and it's a viral thing too. If a coin has some type of viral thing behind it and a lot of people know about it and they're into the crypto world, you can invest in it. And more people, just like Bitcoin or whatever, they assume that it's going to be tied to something more tangible, but it's really not. So then they'll see it, they'll want to invest. When people want to invest in it, the stock of this meme coin will go up. But the catch with the Ponzi side of it is, soon as somebody just with enough of it decides to dump all their stuff into the market, when the price point hits just that right one, they get to walk away with all their money. Everybody else that was just trying to get in or barely got in are now stuck with something that is not worth anything anymore, or it probably is not even close to worth what they bought it for. But then the deflation, because I also was watching people do it on Twitch, that they're so volatile. It is nothing that you should ever really want to be invested in unless you are extremely young and you just think this is the way to make money, which it is, but only if you are the first person in with the most. No, technically you got to be like the second or third person in. You're still gonna make as most of the first person in, but you got to be the second or third person in. But then as soon as you see it go the other way, you got to get out quick. It's not worth it. It's crazy. It's too volatile. And this is coming from me. I'm a person that invests in the stock market and everything like that. There is no way in hell I would want to put money into any of these things. But these young people, they put money into it thinking, oh, I'm going to get rich, boom, 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 boom. But you got to think they're still involved in life. They're still trying to live stream stuff. They're still out there on Instagram. It's not like they're sitting there 24/7, which some of them actually are, though, watching these coins as they fluctuate and trying to time it perfectly to get out the market. It's crazy. So this gentleman, he basically had his last $500, and he said, you know what? And he played Russian roulette. If I die, make me a meme coin because I just lost my last 500. And sadly, he did get rid of himself on stream. And then, yes, they did make a meme coin of it. So, thoughts?
Man, this is so tragic, dude.
I mean, what are your thoughts?
I remember in high school. Well, I remember in high school. I said the eyes of the innocent will seek out death until the hearts of the wicked create change. Capitalism is such a defeating and suffocating, evil economic policy. We created a policy so immoral and unethical that this young man believed that those made up things, these pieces of paper that only have value. Hold, let me finish. These dollars that which are, pegged to this Ponzi scheme, which is what crypto is a Ponzi scheme. You get in first, you make money. If I can get you all to buy these coins, I make more money. Right? But if you didn't get in when I got in, you ain't making no money from these coins. Bro, we've created a economic policy that leads to unaliving yourself. And then we've then made it possible to profit off of that unaliving by turning him into a meme coin that can be sold into a Ponzi scheme that will just do the same thing that happened to him to someone else. This is the economic policy that people are trying to defend. Capitalism is evil, people, all the way evil. There's no moral. It's unredeemable.
Yeah. So, the just some more details on the situation. So, they haven't revealed his real name, but his name on Twitter/X was Mr. Fuck You. The live stream continued 30 minutes after the fatal shot. What else? Oh, this is the other part though that I think plays a heavy part in it. There's this thing with the younger generation about this whole. I'm going to use the word that they use, and I may be using it out of context slightly because I'm older, but I still put it all in the same thing. Even with his name, Mr. Fuck You, and then the whole thing about being an internet troll, because him saying outlandish, crazy things, and also for the virality of it, is the reason that he even did this, in my opinion, a little bit. I mean, I understand losing $500, but if you have, look, the one picture is him on the one side where he apparently made some money off of meme coins, so he withdrew it. But if you had that much money in cash, which also is the most dumbest thing to me, losing $500 in real life, yes, it's a big hit. It will hurt, but figure out what you're doing wrong, correct it, and get back on the right track. But then it's also the brashness, the abrasiveness, the trollness of, well, I don't care. I just off myself and all these things that they will say because that's also can lead to a viral moment, which would then can trigger probably another set of another way to get some income. But it's the full cycle of all these things that the younger generation has involved with it. Sometimes it trips me the fuck out. I get it, but I know a lot of the things that I didn't have to live with is what they actually have to live with, because if he was the one that he talked to somebody else like, what, you lost $500? Oh, you suck, or you're bad at this, or why the fuck are you even doing this? When he was like, no, but I made money at one time. But I think just that whole cycle of getting involved in that community, especially the meme coin community, will be like the worst thing ever for a young person. But I also see that because of capitalism, because they want the whatever it is, they want to make all this money so fast and not understanding the work part of it, which kind of funny enough is kind of full circle to the memes that made you think at the beginning of the show.
I mean, it's tragic.
So that's why I'm like,
This is such a tragic, unnecessary story.
because
Uh,
think about this.
I mean, this is to me. This is exactly why I rage against capitalism, because it draws our young to a point of self destruction.
I mean, but
Dude, it's
I can draw
unredeemable.
in
I mean, this is
I can
sad.
draw an interesting line between the meme that made you think at the top of the show to like this, because he could just be one of them people. This was him trying something. Because think about this, he probably didn't have any other job other than being a crypto trader, but that was him trying his. I'll try this for a bit and see if I can make money here compared to trying to do something else. But that sinkhole, especially with the people around him, probably got too deep, and him just being trolly led to him making a decision, which was a goofy decision, a dumb decision, but that decision was a permanent decision. But then, in turn, with that decision, which everybody else kind of knows exactly why he did it, what he did, they still find a way to profit off of that or make an attempt to profit off of that. Crazy.
I, I think we would all agree that there is something wrong with capitalism when this is possible in a world where we're supposed to have access to everything we need.
Said he saw it as a way out. He took it. It's not a way. You lost $500. Go do something else. Go DoorDash. Go Uber. Go Lyft. Go clean cars. Go get a job at McDonald's. But the problem is that yeah, I want to be. Which is this is the only thing that's funny to me. Him holding this wad of cash. That wad of cash is not making you any money. It's just cash to show. But that's also a look, a image, a feel, a thing. So I mean, so strange. That's why I don't agree with it. He just found a way out.
No, I just think it's an ailment. It's the disease of capitalism. This isn't the first person. I mean, there are stock, traders who will commit suicide sometime this week because of a loss of power, which is what money is. It's just power.
Yeah.
It's, it's access to white capital, which is an obsession with power. Uh, That's all this is. The more of you have, the theoretical more power you have. That's the danger. You know, say what complete power corrupts completely.
Absolute power.
So,
But yeah. So that's all I got on this. Unless you have any other thoughts, this is one of the stories that was just like what. So it just found it funny. All right, with this one. So this past the day we were going to air our initial show. This was supposed to be going on this day. So it was supposed to be a blackout. Um, so just consumers were supposed to participate in a 24-hour economic blackout on February 28th, 2025, abstaining from non-essential purchases to demonstrate their economic power and dissatisfaction with the rising prices. So that was just a base thing. You weren't supposed to go shopping or anything, or people weren't involved in it. Actually, I got this from a lot of people.
did you hear anything about? I haven't heard anything
Well,
about any economic response.
well, yeah, I'm gonna go.
I know that
I'm gonna get
Target
into that.
lost
I'm gonna
billions
get
of
into that.
dollars.
So this was interesting to me because I watch the news, but I'm watching more local news. This was actually a big thing on more national news, and then it was a big thing on Twitter, and then my family actually the evening of, which is like somebody sent out something that somebody found out about it, but then my family started sending this to me. So it was quite interesting. So I was fully aware. This also played a part in where I'm like, I was just about to talk about this today, but then all of a sudden, no, talk about this. Yeah, today because I put this together Thursday night. And that's when I started seeing it. But then Friday morning is when they were all sending this stuff to me, which was kind of funny. But so this is the impact, and I'm going to read some information that came from Forbes magazine or Forbes news site about what was the impact. So there was some significant, interesting impacts along the way with this. So one of the big one was Target's online traffic dropped during the People's Union USA economic blackout on February 28th. That was according to data from the website analytics platform SimilarWeb. So Target website visitors dropped by 9% on that Friday, from 5.2 million to 4.7 million. The Target app user traffic, representing most loyal Target customers, was off even more, down by 14%.
Damn.
By comparison, Costco experienced a 22% rise on this day.
Who did?
Yeah, Costco.
Costco?
But remember also, Target is tied to also rolling back their DEI programs and everything. So
Yeah,
we're not going to be.
I'm well aware.
Go ahead.
So I was saying I was well aware of what Target has been doing.
On the blackout day, the nation's #1 retailer, Walmart, experienced a 5% slump in web traffic, down from 11.7 million down to where is it? Yeah, down to 11.2 million. And #2, Amazon dropped by 2%, from 67.1 million to 65.9 million. However, Amazon app traffic rose 1%. So people, if they were faking like they wasn't doing this, then they just sat at home and went onto the Amazon app and still got whatever they needed and everything. So those were significant numbers. So overall, in my opinion, I don't think the information was spread far and wide enough to that many people knew about this. But I think once it hit national news and it kind of spread, I think people really did take an effect. Also, to be fair, I think there was slightly more connected to the Black community a little bit, because once one person in my family sent it to me, all of a sudden everybody else, I'm like, I just got this from you. I just got this from them. And it was kind of weird. I'm like, But I don't know if this was spread wide enough to where other Americans were fully aware of what this was. But somehow, some way or another, it did have a little bit of a thump. I don't say it had a super crazy impact, but it had a thump. So what this would show to me is that if everybody did want to do something like this, it would have to be very much out there. People would have to know about it. And then just because you did it once, it would have to be some type of actual response from these corporations that would say, all right.
No, what you do is it's time.
Yeah, it would have to be an extended period of time. I do agree with that.
You do it for 10 days. It will bring the country to its knees.
That would be true. So, yeah.
So everybody should agree, like, pick a day, like, we're going to do our grocery shopping on this day, get everything we need, and then the American people are going on strike until he's out of there. We want him out on the street.
Well, I'm just saying That was one of the things that was a carryover from last week that had already happened, but I did manage to look it up, and this was the report that Forbes said was the impact that it did have. So it did something, a little thump, but it wasn't as. But it shows that it can be done. And if people really wanted to make the corporations, the capitalist corporations, as D would say, do something, understand something, witness something, give them a little fear, so maybe they would change what they do, how they operate, or make sure that they're giving back and taking care of people. This would be a thing that they could do, but it would take everybody same page, understanding, and willing to, and knowing that it may get rough, it may suck, but if y'all want change, then this is what you have to do. But I don't really know if everybody wants change, so it is what it is.
No, no, they want change. I think I can feel it.
So
This can happen two ways. We can do it peacefully as a country and say prioritize the American individual's life, not corporations, not Trump, not Elon Musk. We're talking about people. We're talking about access to food, water, housing. We want a basic living that any person can acquire. Whether you're bright or dumb, you should be able to live off 3 days of work. We demand that. And we can make that happen. We can do it peacefully through these acts here, or we can do violence, but we don't. No one wants violence. It costs too much. So working together is so much easier. So when white people are ready to figure it out, let us know. We ain't got no time. We ain't got no time for games. When y'all ready to unite, black people will tell you how to move.
well, that was all I had for today. Unless you got something else.
Now, with that said, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for coming through, Strain. We appreciate you showing up. Friends and family that watch. And Kenny, you can take it
Shout
down,
out to
bro.
anybody over on Kick. Shout out to anybody over on Twitch. Shout out to anybody that was over on Facebook. And of course, shout out to anybody that's over on YouTube. YouTube is our head base. We're still trying to rebuild the channel. If you could, if you're on any other platform, go over to YouTube, give us a follow, give us a like on the video, add a comment. It helps, it pushes it out there. And hopefully we'll be able to come this upcoming Friday and give y'all another good show. Hopefully we won't miss it for any other reasons, and we'll make it concise, and we'll talk about apple cider vinegar and probably a couple other topics. With that being said, I'm Kenny with Dianoia. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Peace.